You're driving down the road and your wife says, "Where do you want to eat at?" And you think, "Oh gosh, here we go again." Don't worry about it. Pull out your phone and get on that Fat Boy app. The Fat Boy app's your mom and pop restaurant locator. That's right. It's one of a kind. There's not another app out there that does what this app does. Yeah, you can search restaurants near me, but you're not going to find those hidden gems and mom and pops, those special places to get that good old open face roast of beef. I like me some roast beef. So download the Fat Boy app on iOS or Android. Either one of them, you can do it. Take it with you. Check them out on Facebook. Go to their website and become a Fat Boy or Dining Diva, because when a Fat Boy tells you it's good, it's good. Need an oil change? Need your tires rotated or a new set of tires? You need an alignment? Holler at Jake Wolf at Wolf's Customs. Hey, when you go in to buy some tires, if you mention FPA, Front Porch America, and Wolf's Customs, and tell them that you've seen it here, you're going to get 10% off your purchase and free rotations of the lifetime of those tires. So that's Wolf's Customs there in Waverly, Kentucky. Your car not pulling like it should. It's going to have a little bit of Jimmy shaking going on. You need a transmission work. You need that tranny worked on. Holler at Stephen Watson at Watson's Transmissions, man. I think he's the only one that I know around here that works on them. The man can tear it down and put it back together blindfolded with one hand, I believe. The best in Union County. So holler at Stephen Watson for all your transmission needs. Ironstein Coffee, located in Morganfield, Kentucky. Hey, man, they are out there brewing up some coffee, man. They are tearing it up. They're getting all over the place, and they got some good coffee. You can find them in Morganfield, Kentucky at their shop, and you can even go into Jen's General Store, step back in time, get you some of them old-timey candies and old-timey sodas, get you a cup of that Ironstein coffee. Now, Ironstein Coffee also will cater to your business. What I mean by that is you got a business, you want your name on some coffee to give out as gifts or just to show off a little bit, holler at Ironstein Coffee there in Morganfield, Kentucky. You can find them on Facebook and the web at iron-stein.com. Man, they got some good coffee. That's all I can say. And I like to thank my sponsors. Those were my sponsors, and I like to thank them a lot for stepping up and helping me out on this podcast. So let's get to the story. Welcome to the Front Porch America podcast. I am sitting here with what I'm going to call an accidental celebrity, a local celebrity here in our hometown, and she has become probably one of the most talked about um, persons on the TLC show Thousand Pound Sisters, because, and we're gonna get right down to it. But before we do, I've got you a little baby Jesus and a little gift from the Fat Boy app, which you're wearing their shirt today. Um, Love those guys. Those guys are a huge sponsor for me. I couldn't do this without them, so that's awesome that you're wearing their shirt today. Uh,
And
so
just insert Ashley and I go back years
go
and
way back.
years. So she and I've known each other since high school.
Oh wow,
So
okay, so there's
um,
a deep
I
connection there.
yes love Ashley with my whole heart, and I am recently signed with her too with the Fat Boy app.
Yeah.
So that's why I showed up today wearing her stuff,
Yeah, that's
because
awesome.
that's what it's about. It's all hometown small people, just or small hometown people trying to just make it, just like I did.
Yeah.
Like if I can help somebody, you know, get somewhere, let's get it. Then the pie is big enough for everybody to get a taste.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I've noticed, you can cut a pie in so many different slices, right?
Mm-hmm.
Enough for everybody. I've always I remember a time to where like, oh, I've only got enough cake for you. But now that I've learned that if you cut that cake, you cut that pie a certain way, you've got enough for everybody, right?
Absolutely.
And the Fat Boy app, Ashley and Scott and that whole crew are like super phenomenal. Like you cannot, man, you couldn't beat them with a stick if you wanted to. So there's a little something from there. I'm sure you probably have some of their stuff already, but I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to give you that.
Thank you.
I gave your man over there. He's got some stuff over there. So let's get down. I want to get right to the point of this get right card because I'm going to tell you something. I could have used that sucker just over the last few days. So let's talk about the get right card. Let's talk about that before we talk about anything. What is that? What is the get right card?
Okay, well, first of all, full disclosure, my mouth, my heart is the best part of me, but I can't get this mouth right for nothing. So I cuss a little bit on an accident, but if you irritate me, I'm fixing to cuss a whole lot.
A buddy of mine I just interviewed, Josh Parrish. He said, "I love Jesus, but I cuss a little bit."
No, I
So
love
that's
Jesus.
that's the coolest thing you said.
I love
So
Jesus
yeah,
with my whole heart and everything, and that's a personal conviction that I have that I am currently working on is my language. But don't get it twisted. I cuss like a sailor. I think I make cuss words up, and sometimes I split words up and insert a cuss word when there ain't no need for it.
right.
It's just I don't know why I do it. I just
It
do.
just happens.
And it happened to be one time we were on, y'all just gotta understand the dynamics of me and my damn siblings. But it's always been Misty, Chris, and me. Like they're older, and then there's always been Tammy and Amy. So
Right.
we'll come into a huddle when we get ready to film or do something like that, and we come into a huddle this one day because filming is an adventure in
Oh,
itself.
I can
Okay,
imagine. Yeah.
and I'm like, everybody better, get your get right out and hang on to that motherfucker. Get your get right out and hang on to it. And, that is currently something that I use today, which, I actually kind of converted it to act accordingly.
Right.
And, FAFO is another one you can
Yep.
fuck around and find out.
Right.
But that's not something that, with the growth that I've had in the past year, that's not the type of language that I want to use in my day to day life, much
Right.
less moving forward and trying to inspire people of all ages to just um, push forward and know that good things do happen and dreams do come true, and there will be opportunities of a lifetime to come along. You just got to be willing to stand still and realize and know when it's time to reach out and hold
Right.
on to it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It doesn't matter. And I've learned this just over this past week that you know it takes a lot for me to get worked up, and usually it's a name calling, right? You get called some names or whatever, and I try so hard just let it roll off, right? Uh, but I learned really quick that man, I'd give anything to have that get right card to give to somebody. Here before we go any further, let's go ahead and just hand this out. So yeah, that's pretty cool, and I think that's kind of become your tagline. I think that's become something that everybody knows you by is get your get right card out and let's get this thing going. So let's jump into things. I know there's some things you can't talk about,
Absolutely.
and there's some things that you can. And I want to talk about. I think everybody knows you around here or knew you around here as Miss Amanda, the bus driver, right?
Yes.
So when I was at the fire department, I'd go to the Morganfield Elementary School and I'd hang out with the kids, and it was so many times I could, who's your bus driver? I'd ask them, who's your bus driver? What do just kind of trying to figure out what these kids are, and a lot of them be like, oh, mine's Miss Amanda, and they get so excited. So tell me about your journey from driving a bus. How did that happen? How did that make you feel? Do you think you had an impact on kids while you were driving that school bus?
Number one, I want to go back and always, remember those who kind of inspired me to be, transpire into this woman that I am today. And I'm going to say it was about 10 years ago. Everybody in Union County knows Connie Brummett.
Yeah.
She was a very good friend of mine. I used to go to Grove Center Faith Chapel Church, and she was a good friend of mine. And she was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer, and it was pretty much like we were going to the gym one day, and like the next day she was literally stage 4 liver cancer, like bam. So through her encouraging me to do something, you know educate myself, get a job that will give me a future that you can, grow with.
Right.
So I ended up going, and I'm going to tell you, when I got my job at the bus garage, I had put my application in probably, I don't know, 9 months prior to that. And my phone rang, and my ex husband and I were both, in a very bad way financially. We had 4 kids, and the bills was still coming due, and he had lost his job. And Life be lifing. I say it's tough out here in these streets,
Right, right,
but
yeah,
it's the truth. Life,
right,
life always be lifing. And my husband, ex-husband Jason at the time, he got a job at Gibbs, and I got a phone call, and it was Miss Robin from the bus garage, and she was like, "Hey, do you still want this job?" And I thought, hmm, hmm. I always stay true to myself because, see, when you pray, you have to be specific.
right, right.
Okay, meaning you got to ask God. When you can't go tell God, give me a job, and then Him give you a job, and then you sit there and complain about it. And so I was, I'm going through growth through all this time, and I thought, you know what? I always prayed for a job that I could take my kids to work with me, be with my be available when my kids need me, and to just to inspire people. Mr. Ralph Meacham was my bus driver, growing up.
Right,
And I still remember him to this day. Frank Rednar, who ironically enough ended up marrying my mother,
right.
years after. Um, so I become a bus driver, and every day, I realized that I used to wake up all grumpy, and my coworkers, if they're listening, they're still my coworkers. I left there in January
Uh-huh.
of 2024, um, but they're still my coworkers. They're still my people. But if they're listening, they're gonna laugh because they always know you don't talk to her. She comes in, gets her keys, gets her paperwork, and goes to her bus, prays trips, and by the time I get my first kid, it's good morning, honey. I made it a point to say good morning to every one of my students and, good afternoon, and you have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Because I realized, just like Mr. Ralph Meacham, he was there all the time. He showed up on time when he was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And I believe that when you say something, that you should do that. So through that job, there's a lot of different little pieces that I'm leaving out, but just fast forward through time, I ended up being there. I think it was right at 10 years.
Yeah.
Um, and I know that I made an impact on kids because I still see some of my students from 10 years ago. Um, I'm not going to name any names, but one of them's mom used to work at Union County Hospital,
Mhm.
and her children are now grown, and I believe one of them has a child now. But they still see me out, and they'll still speak to me.
Yeah.
They know who I am.
Yeah. And
So,
working those jobs that, especially when you have a day to day impact, or, you're around children all day long, every day. It's like bus drivers, teachers, public service jobs, I guess
hmm
if you will. Um, People don't realize the impact they make. I still have students that come up to me and just, well, oh, hey, it's firefighter Rick, and it's talking about remembering your bus driver. I still remember my bus drivers. Eddie Hendricks, who was also our mailman. He was our bus driver and our mailman.
hmm
And then Effie Campbell. Of course, I grew up in Crittenden County.
How old are you, may I
I'm
ask?
45.
Okay, well, I'm
Yeah.
44.
But growing up, it's crazy how these jobs that people almost shun you on make the biggest impact, right? Uh, I've had some really cool teachers. Some teachers, Steve Carter, for example, has made
Oh
such an
man,
impact on
look,
my
he was
life,
one of my
right?
first bosses.
Yeah,
Steve, I say bosses. He was assistant superintendent, which is my boss.
yeah,
We chain of command I spoke
right,
of
right,
earlier. But Steve Carter was my foundation. There was a lot of things that I took away from him. Jeremy Roach, Shane Smith, Todd Lucas was one of my
yeah,
bosses. Justin
Lucas,
T. Hand, all of those people throughout my career. Devin Hall, she's still there. Nikki Hancock. There's a lot
yeah,
of my best friend Holly Sigler still works there, um, and I'm very blessed to have been Miss Amanda, the bus driver.
yeah. It is, like I said, it's crazy the impact that a job like that would have on, moving forward with students, especially with kids, especially. And that's why I always say, you've got to be careful on how you present yourself, especially because everybody's
Absolutely.
watching. And you having kids just like me, growing up, they'll mock you. They'll,
Mhm.
hey, you better watch what you say, because if you don't want them to say it, Sorry
Absolutely.
about it. I can remember a time I'm in Walmart, and my oldest boy now, uh, there was somebody in front of us, and he just blurted out some stuff about that person. I was just like, oh my goodness, but they're honest. But so making that impact is a big deal. So what about when about did everything start to change for you? Um, your sisters end up, of course, they had a YouTube channel before,
Right.
everything kind of went down, and they were pretty getting a lot of views and a lot of stuff going on the YouTube channel. And then when I was working, so I worked at the fire department and also on EMS,
Mm-hmm.
so I've dealt with your sister Tammy quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I won't go into a lot of details on
Right.
that
And I
because I don't
appreciate
want
that.
to, but I dealt with them quite a bit. And when did it change for you? When did you become involved? How was that process? I guess when it became that, oh crap, our
Excuse
story's
me.
about to be known by everybody.
Well, Tammy and Amy started the YouTube channel. And I mean, first of all, this is the first interview I've ever done
Oh wow. Well, thank you for
about,
letting it be me. So
right. I mean, I do what I do for TLC, the show. And that is separate. And, I am, like I said, I'm not going to come on here and speak about anything I
right, right.
can't talk about. But, it's very publicly known that Tammy and Amy started this YouTube channel. And part of the reason why they started it was because they were almost shut in. People shun you when you're fat.
Yeah.
People call you names. People look at you like you're not human. Like like you don't deserve to have a friend, you know? So they just kind of, and of course, being poor, and I mean, growing up just with a single mom, and we weren't from here originally anyway. We're from originally from Illinois.
Okay.
So
Y'all
we
some
moved.
Melanesian transplants.
Well, that's why we ain't gonna go there. My man over there from Chicago,
You
I
from
ain't doing
Chicago? You from Chi Town?
it.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
so I worked over EMS over in Illinois, and I got some really good friends over there. And there's one girl that I worked with. She's an EMT, and she was from, I think, up around Chicago and stuff. And then so that's what I started calling all my friends over there's my Melanesians. So that's where I got that from.
I'm
So
born there, man, but I'm pretty much just a Kentuckian now.
I
I
got
think
you.
I'm
I
just
got
a
you.
flat out Kentucky girl, but um they ended up, starting that YouTube channel, but I started dating my husband when I was the summer before I was 12 and I turned 13 that year in 1993. Okay, I was 13 years old. I had been dating him for 5 years. We got married. I turned, 18 December 19th, got married to him, and I moved away to New York. He was in the
Oh wow.
military and we moved away.
Okay.
So Tammy and Amy was at home with mom. And, with their disabilities and such, um, they pretty much were shut ins. They just didn't get
Right.
out much, So they started a YouTube channel. Well, basically, they went viral because people were ugly to them. People were mean and they were hateful. And they had all these smart ass comments to make.
Right.
And they, got to be these damn keyboard warriors that think that they're really somebody because they're cutting somebody down.
Yeah.
So, insert, fast forward some several years later, Tammy and Amy's living in Dixon, and I'm in the middle of, this is about the same time that um I'm gonna say this was about 5-ish years ago, 6 years ago or so. My memory is really foggy. I've been battling some health issues
Yeah.
and I've had COVID, so my mind is kind of foggy. But anyway, insert whenever Crazy Lake Productions come in and pitched this deal to them. They was like, "Hey, we're gonna be on TV," and I was like, "Girl, okay, cool. I have 4 kids. My brother was living with me. His 2 kids visited me every other weekend. They were there 2 or 3 weeks out of the summer. Most time I had 6 kids, all under the age of 7 or 8. So I had a whole carload of kids, a whole van.
You
Anyway,
had a
I was
whole
driving
gaggle of them. Yeah.
yeah, I was driving a mini school bus before I ever got the license to
Right.
drive a real one. But so as time went on, the producers reached out to me, and at that point, our family, um, I had, bragged about finally becoming great at something, and I become a great aunt. And that was when my great nephew Mason was born. And Mason was 7 weeks old when he passed away.
Right.
Um, and that was a moment in my life that just really made me decide that, and I'm a very empathic person, so I want to mind you the mind frame. I want people to understand and know where I was at in my frame of mind when they come tell me that they're going to be on TV. I put my eyes on them. They're living, they're breathing, and they look like they're doing all right. I've got to take my ass back to Sturgis to my kids,
Right.
where I've got, where I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I put myself through college. You know, I've just been busy.
So you
So,
didn't really expect for what they were doing to kind of involve you as much as it has.
no, and I mean, and one thing about me and I'm just going to kind of plug myself here.
Yeah, do
I'm
that.
working on my own podcast called Tea Time with Amanda.
Yeah.
And it originally started as a way to go in and be like, you know what? Like all these want to come for me with all this stuff. Like I
Right.
know who I am and what I do, but like I've always been this person to keep receipts. Okay, so like I still have the screen logs where the producers called me,
Yeah.
and she knows exactly who she was because this was when my great nephew passed, and I cussed that woman, and I let her know that you, my friend, are not really worth the plum nickel to blow your brains out. Like,
So the
I
person
don't know how to say that.
was it just a random person
No,
or
this
was
was a
it a
producer that
okay.
I currently work with now.
Okay.
She is now my boss.
So how's that
But
relationship
I
going?
didn't, well, I mean, it's going good.
Okay.
But I mean,
Okay.
I told this woman completely. I told her
Right.
what for.
Yeah.
You shut the hell up and leave my family alone. We are grieving. But in the same token, that communication was kind of broken.
Right.
So, anyway, fast forward to some years, I say year later, so Amy had her wedding,
Mm-hmm.
and I was there at the wedding, and I did interviews, but the editing processes can and will be
Yeah.
vicious.
Yeah. So and I know that because a friend of mine who's been on TV, he was like, "Man, I was there for this amount of time, and they showed this." So he was there for what he did, and I'm gonna have him on. I actually had him on once, and this was before I had all my sound and stuff figured out. But I'm gonna have him back now that I've got everything figured out. But he was like, I was there for 3 or 4 weeks, and all the filming I did, they literally showed 25 minutes. He says, so you don't get everything that's
Mm-mm.
put out there, right? They're going to put out what they want you to see. They're not going to put out
Exactly.
everything that's, yeah.
And I feel safe to say that because anyone in the industry knows, and even in from just simple like I'm a social media content creator.
Right.
That's what people label me as sometimes. I just live my life and I share with people what makes me happy. And sometimes people irritate the hell out of me,
They do.
and I have to pop off and I have to let them know like, hey, we can fire some shots at each other, but
Yeah.
let's make it perfectly clear where I stand on this.
Right.
So anyway, moving forward with the show, um, my husband and I, um, we just couldn't see eye to eye. I separated from my husband and was going through a divorce
Mm-hmm.
as the show. When the show started, it started as a docu-series,
Right.
which from my understanding, they were only going to come in and do two or three little, a couple, maybe 4 or 5 episodes, and they were going to be gone.
Right.
And of course, here we are all this time later.
Was it six seasons, 7 seasons?
I'm really not going
I
to
don't even
say a
I don't even
number.
know. I don't even know how
I'm
long
not
it's
going to
been.
say a number
Yeah.
because I know what I do, but
Right.
I'm
Right.
not going to say a number out of fear
Yeah.
I might mess up my
Yeah.
non-disclosure
And
agreement
I don't even
with my
know.
memory,
Yeah.
so we
No, you're
ain't doing
fine.
that. But
Several episodes later, or several
several
seasons
seasons
later.
later,
Yeah.
here we
We'll just do
are.
that.
And I have I have really I've really dropped the ball. I know that I have fumbled the ball so far because I had been so busy just experiencing the moment and kind of just taking things in, and then I realized, you know, God has given me a platform. After I come onto the show, let me back up. I finally decided to go ahead and make my appearance on the show when me and my husband at the time had already decided we had went through our negotiations of our divorce. Um, and we're amicable. Him and I, we're fixing to have our first grandbaby together. We are good co-parents,
Right.
so there ain't no bad blood there. I was with that man for 30 years of
Yeah.
my
That's a
life,
long
and I'm
time.
44.
Yeah.
So, his family and I will always be family. But anyway, I decided after that part, because that was a whole, I mourned a lifetime. I served a life sentence. If you look at it, I served a life sentence, and I'm not going to go too much in detail, just because some things is just ain't nobody's damn business. But I put in 30 years of my life in a relationship, and when my brothers, and then my brother was like, are you going to come on the show? And I was like, I really don't give a shit. I support what y'all do.
So when they asked you, have they approached you to be on the show, or was this something like? So when you said your brothers and them asked you if you were going to be on the show, I guess they probably had like started mentioning, "Hey, we want you on the show,"
Well,
or "Hey, we want
well,
you involved," or how did that play out?
this was about I'm gonna say about a year or so later. I don't know how much time was in between it, but they were getting ready to, my divorce was finally becoming, like I said, we were to that spot where we was just kind of waiting for paperwork to be
Right, right,
done. Um, but the producers had been asked me, and I'm just gonna be honest. This is how it is in my family. I usually will text my siblings and let them know that I'm on the way,
right,
but I don't have to let nobody know that I'm on my way.
right, absolutely,
That is my siblings. Them are my sisters. That's just the relationship we've always had.
right, right.
Just like when I go to my mama's house, I go to my adopted dad's house. I go in. I don't knock. I just walk
You
in.
show up, yeah,
That's just how
right,
your immediate family is.
yep,
So they already knew who I was, the production crew, and they had asked me if I wanted to film. And then, my siblings was like, it's pretty cool, like you should come around. And I
right,
had stood
absolutely,
back behind the scenes and watched. Um, and so finally my brother was like, are you going to come or not? And I was just like, I want to make sure that it's good with my siblings because I hadn't had no part of it.
right,
And I didn't really give a damn one way or the other.
yeah,
I'm very secure with my job. I've been a bus driver for 10 years, or well, at this point, it'd been, I don't know, 6 or 7 years at
right,
this
right,
point. But um, I'm very secure with my job. If I had to leave Union County, I can take my driver's license. I can go anywhere in the United States of America and get me a job right now.
right,
Okay. So I'm not bound to be anywhere. My goal was to stay in Union County long enough for my children to graduate. It was important to me that, and God knows, thank you. Shout out to all the educators out there, the ones that helped get my nieces and my nephews through school and my children, God, my children. Thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart for real. Because I know my children put them people through hell, but I got all my kids through school. Dylan graduated, and I had a very good friend of mine. Her name was Melinda. She said, the world will be my oyster when my child graduates high school.
yeah,
Never knew what that meant. That my youngest child, who is shout out to Dylan, April 1st
yeah,
is his birthday. He will be
okay,
20.
all right,
So we'll be celebrating him
yeah.
coming up.
Happy early birthday, buddy.
Yes. And when he walked across that line, I realized that my ties here was over. And I had promised God when I got the job at the bus garage, Dylan had 10 years of school left. And I had that conversation when they hired me. I was like, you know what? I can give you 10 years because I know that I'm going to be here. I want my kids to all graduate from Union County High School. That's where their daddy went. That's where their mama went. I'm a proud
So
Union
roots,
County
yeah, yeah,
brave, and I'm never going to forget where I come from. So he graduated, and it was just kind of everything just fell in line. And I was like, what the hell do I have to lose?
right.
And I was single. And I dated some local guys off and on, and no names worth mentioning. And fast forward to whatever you want. That's up to me entering into the show, and that was the
Right.
family vacation going down to Gatlinburg to the
Yeah.
mountains.
And
So
that's what kind of where you made your
that's
debut,
kind
I
of where I
guess.
came in.
So what from the time that you stepped on camera, we'll say, to today, what are some major changes that you have noticed, good or bad, with being a part of the filming crew?
Well, I mean, I don't know. There's so many different elements of it, and it's
Right.
so damn deep. Um, Number one, I mean, are you want to know about the fame?
Yeah.
Is that
How
I
is
don't
that? How has that affected you? I mean,
it? I mean, personally, it hasn't.
and I can tell you're the type of person that it does. I think you would remain who you are, no matter how quote unquote famous you got. Right, you're still going to give everybody that get right card, no matter, you
Right?
know what I
Yeah.
mean. And I think that's what a lot of people locally know about you is
Oh,
it doesn't
absolutely.
matter how famous or how big or what kind of star you become. You're still going to be the same person, and I think that's people respect that about you. A lot of people will gain that a sense of entitlement, if you will. With kind of taking on that. I've been on TV. I've been in a movie. I've done this. I've done this. Here I am, and you need to wash my feet, or so to speak. But I can tell you're different. You're different than that, right? I can tell that you're the same person you were driving that school bus as you are right now, right? And I say that because you may not know this, but so I had a position with the county,
Mm-hmm.
and I was at Huck's, and we had some issues going on, and I had to go in and kind of work out a deal with them about some fuel, right? For
Mm-hmm.
because we had something going on, and I can't exactly remember what it was.
Well, can you
That
say if he was in Morganfield or
I was in
Sturgis?
Sturgis
Okay.
at Huck's,
Oh
and
Jesus.
and
I'm like,
and you were in,
oh shit.
and you were the exact, and this is after you had been on, on TV for a little while, a few episodes in, several episodes in actually, and I'm doing my thing, and you walk in, and I notice a couple of younger ladies are like, "Oh my God, there she is," um, and I just kind of chuckled because I'm like, "Y'all be careful because." We know Amanda. You say the wrong thing at the wrong moment or the right thing at the right moment,
Yeah.
you
Well,
don't know what
that
you're going to get.
you just
But you were
never
the same
know.
person. You're the
You're
same
absolutely
person
right.
from the beginning.
You know,
So hasn't really affected you? I mean, have you like do you wake up and be like, "Oh wow, I can literally go to my TV and go to the TLC app or whatever it is and watch myself on TV and millions of the whole damn world can see you on TV." How does that
internationally.
make you feel?
Um. Well, first of all, I am Amanda Fake Holmes. My grandmother is Mabel Louise Terrell Ellis, and I am her granddaughter. That is who I am.
Yeah.
I am still just Braxton, Nathan, Justin, and Dylan's mom. I am still just Miss Amanda. Now, there are other people that know me from. See, there's a difference between the get right card that you keep speaking
Yeah.
of. There's different get right cards for everyone.
Okay.
Because if it's personal and I know you personally,
Mhm.
see, there's a different get right card for you. Like my siblings, see, theirs is a lot different than what there would be from you. Even being here in your podcast,
Right.
um, you get a different card that you got to go by versus what my siblings get.
Okay.
And one thing, you mentioned Steve Carter early on. I think it was Steve Carter had said to me, be fair, firm, and consistent. It was something that he was, I don't want to say preaching, but mentioned a lot. And I believed that from the time that I was young and started. I was 11 when my big sister had her first kid. So her son was like my little toy, little
Right.
baby,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
a little doll. And then my little sisters, the same way when they come along. But anyway, like I've always been that way. I'm fair, firm, and consistent. I believe that if you treat people with respect, they should give it. But I also believe that once that respect is taken, once you disrespect me, be ready to make sure that your apology is just as loud as the disrespect
Ooh,
is.
that's good.
Okay?
That's
And
good.
that means get your act right card and hang on to that motherfucker
I like.
because I'm going to act accordingly.
I like it.
And recently, like I have just, there's been such a transformation in me um, since, November 3rd of last year, I
That was
tore
my
my
next. That was going to be
ACL.
my next question. Was how have you changed?
and it's not really, I don't even refer to myself as famous. I don't see myself that way.
Right.
I see myself with someone that has been given an opportunity to not only inspire to live their life out loud, but just to go out and be kind. I say that after every one of my lives. I have a lot of followers that are, that's been with me from day one. And I've always said, be kind because it costs you nothing.
Absolutely.
Because I'm poor. I have that mindset. I grew up poor and didn't, kindness don't cost you nothing. A random act of kindness isn't always going out and paying for somebody's meal. Sometimes it's opening the door and saying, "Ooh, girl, I like them shoes. Them's fire." You
Yeah.
know, some little random act of kindness like that. I've had so many people in my lifetime, even since I've become what people call a celebrity and famous, to send me messages when I was just in some very bad places mentally. I speak out a lot about mental health because it was when, I went through a lot with losing my 7-week old nephew and then just trying to be Miss Amanda. I was
Hmm.
still driving the school bus the whole time. And I'll never forget, that's why they'll always be my coworkers because
Right.
when I went through that, there was a whole handful of people from the bus garage, from the transportation department, and even, Michelle Hall, she was a public figure at the time.
Hmm.
She did work for the Board of Education. I say her name because it is public knowledge. She showed up. She knew my nephew and my family personally. She's God bless you, Michelle. I love you so much. Um, she's seen every one of my children through from elementary school all the way
Right.
up through high school. So those people have made lasting impressions on me and through tearing my ACL, and I'm leaving some things out because that's
Yeah,
my
and that's
story
fine.
for another
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Um, I really have what we call a coming to Jesus party.
Yeah.
And I had to stand still and know who God was, and God removed some people from my life and he put some people in my life. Um, there's been a lot of hate and people making fun of my choice to
Where do you
move.
think that hate comes from?
You know what? I don't know if it's self reflection or I'm not sure where it comes from.
You think jealousy is a lot of it?
I feel like some people's jealous. I feel like it makes them feel confident in who they are.
Hmm.
It makes them feel good about themselves to look at someone and pick them apart.
That's sad, isn't it?
It's a horror. I used to be that person when I was younger. I was very bitter, and I could be that mean girl. I have a lot of trauma that I've been through,
Yeah.
but me and my boyfriend Melo, um, we just had this conversation the other day. I said, it doesn't matter what you've been through in your life. It doesn't give you excuse to go out here and be an asshole. It does not give you an excuse to go out here and say, "Oh, well, I grew up this way, so this is how it's always going to be."
And I'm glad
So,
you brought that up because that's something that I get so sick and tired of hearing is, well, my childhood was this and I experienced this, so this is why I am the way I am. You're in charge of your own destiny, right?
you are
I
absolutely.
grew up poor. Like I didn't have the things that my friends in school or so-called friends in school had. I was made fun of for the shoes that I wore. I can very vividly remember I was in middle school, standing on the steps, and a couple of dudes who were very popular, quote unquote, in school,
Mhm.
making fun of my Dollar General shoes
Mhm.
because that's all my parents could afford. I couldn't help that your parents owned a business and your parents had money and y'all were wearing the latest Air Jordans or Nike Airs or whatever, but I had a pair of shoes on and it didn't matter. And that's what's when I started this podcast, I wanted my chairs to be open to people that had a story, and not only a story, but their lives have changed and went to a different direction, right? We all have our own destiny. We all have a place that we're going, no matter uh, who intervenes in it, right?
Mhm.
God knows that. Okay, Rick, I created you to do this, and you're going to stop at this. And once you, everything in between there is going to be your decision on how that plays out to get you there, right? You can get there. You can get from A to Z by woe is me, or you can get to A to Z as let's get this thing going, right? And that's what I chose to do. I used to let people, I used to worry about what people thought, and ever since I heard that whole get right card thing, like that is just, I'm like, dude, if it wasn't already your mantra, I would steal it because that's perfect. That's like, get your get right card, figure your shit out, and move on with your life, right? Let's make some progress. It's so hard to see the world we live in now be treated the way it's treated, because why are we hating on everybody, and being on social media, both of you guys know this, being on social media, content creators or whatever, you've got several thousand, hundreds of thousands of followers across your platforms, and, and I can only imagine. I've dealt with it a little bit, but I can only imagine what you deal with, right? So how do you handle that?
Oh my God.
Because you can't. I mean, does it get to you eventually, or how does that work?
That's how I handle that. Just what I did. I'm just going to be honest. I am in a place where I've moved into this little place and I call it my war room. And I know that is, if you know, you know.
Right,
And
right.
I'm not going to explain that to you, but I'm in a place right now where I'm growing. I've been through a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things and I don't regret a decision that I've made along the way. I have lived my life in a way that I think, you said that we're all in charge of our own destiny. Um, I have lived my life in a way that where yes, I've made mistakes and I've been that mean girl, but I've also lived my life in a way that I think that Jesus would be happy with me because I am a good person, and it does take more than that. I'm not a religious person. I want to get that established up front. I am a person who has a personal relationship with Jesus.
Right.
See, it's none of your business.
That's right.
It's none of my business. That's between me and him because you're not getting me to heaven. I got to get myself there. So it's something that I kind of, have been working on personally. And um, so you said, how do I wake up every day dealing with the fact that I am famous? First of all, I do not see myself that way. I wake myself up every day. Well, Jesus wakes me up, obviously, but I wake up every day and I say, oh my God, one more day.
My grandpa always said, if you wake up in the morning, you're having a good day.
Yes. And
So
that's what I think. I'm like, oh my God, I made it. Thank you. Here we go. And then I'm like, oh God, let me get my act right out and hang on to it because God knows that because I'm dealing with a lot of hormonal issues right
right,
now
right.
with my health and, um, just a lot of different things. And I am an emotional creature and I'm a girl. At the end of the day, I'm still a girl.
Yeah.
But I'm still that girl that's going to come in and give you the business if you need it. I've just always been that person. I just don't, I wake up every day just thankful to be me. And there is every day I tell God, don't let me fumble the ball. I remember doing an interview with a newspaper. And I told him, I said, when you quote me, be sure and quote it right.
Right.
And I wasn't trying to say that to be a smart aleck because I wanted him to know and understand that me and my siblings, we know that we have been given an opportunity of a lifetime. And we
Yeah.
are so very thankful. I speak for myself because I am a Christian. I don't talk about nobody else's religion because that's none of my business or what they claim to be. But we know that we are very grateful and blessed to be who we are. So we wake up every day being that way. I do every single day, and then I put my feet down on the ground and I say, okay, what do I have to do? And sometimes I got to compartmentalize the mental health issues, all the people talking shit to me because I'm dating a black man, or all the people talking shit to me because I've decided to up and leave my children and my family, my children who are in their 20s,
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
all
They're all grown though.
all in their 20s, and that's referring back to my son, my baby child graduating high school. My children were grown. He was 19 years old when I moved.
All right.
And they come down there with me too. They wasn't like I just high-assed off and left
Right.
them.
Right. Yeah.
They were grown
Yeah.
and they had the option to come, and things didn't work out and I come back and people's just like, "Oh, well, you said you wasn't ever going to come back." Now I see the hoods coming out at me. Now,
Well, I tell
see.
you what, I think this is the perfect place for
Now
a
this
break.
before we got real hood, I wanted to make sure that we're not promoting any kind of violence. That is not my brand by any
Right,
means
right,
that I'm
yeah,
trying to build.
yeah.
Vaping is definitely a hell no, especially when just for health reasons, and I'm working on that myself.
We all have our vices, man. We all do, and if I ever hear somebody say they're perfect, then I'm probably gonna laugh in your face.
Right.
We,
You know,
we've all got things that we need to work on every day.
right.
And it's I can't tell you to work on your stuff, and you can't tell me to work on
That's
mine. I've
right.
got to work on my own. You got to work on yours. So,
Absolutely.
and I
And it's
respect that about you.
it's
So,
it's crazy because we talk about your get right and the FAFO, and like insert the time now where if parents got some kids in the background that you don't want to hear some bad shit, I'm fixing to start cussing. FAFO is fuck
yeah,
around and find out.
right.
Because if you come over here with some type of energy, then you gonna fuck around and find out what it
Yeah,
really
and
is.
this episode will definitely be on the 18 and above episode list. So,
Um,
yeah, we're about to get with it. We're about to get in it.
yeah, and I like I said, God is still working on me. I'm not proud of that person. That is a part of me that I'm working on daily.
But here's the thing: you can't be the person you want to be without the person that you used to be.
That's right.
See what I'm
And
saying?
I am her.
Yeah.
And this is
And,
another little thing
and
too.
I don't mean to interrupt real
No,
fast,
go
but
ahead.
Jelly Roll,
Oh, shout out to Jelly
man,
Roll.
hey, dude,
Oh, we. Oh
you
my
want to
God.
talk about somebody who was this person and this person, and that's why I'm such a huge fan of Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash was a piece of crap for the longest time, right? And then it took a woman and it took God to flip him around, more so God than anything. And then Thomas Gabriel, who is Johnny Cash's grandson, who I've become friends with, same thing, man. Uh, he was so into drugs, alcohol, and to hear his story and his testimony, to see where he was to where he is now, that's identical to his grandfather. And it's the craziest thing. And people like that I admire. I don't idolize, but I admire them. I look up to them. Because that just tells me that what I have going on ain't bad. It ain't bad, man. It's just a
Absolutely.
little bit of what you know.
Absolutely. And
So,
there was another thing that I wanted to get off my chest real quick. One of the things that people say the most is that I waited until my siblings was famous to decide to come on the show. No. I waited until my feet was firmly planted in a
yeah,
house where my children could have a place to lay their head, both at their mom's and their dad's. They didn't have to choose. I lived on one side of a town, my ex-husband lived on the other. They could ride their bikes back and forth until they all got their license. And after the fact, and I was like, well, y'all have already built this, and that's when I decided to come onto the show. But a lot of the hate that I get is like, you come on here and you act like you're nobody. You act like you're somebody. First of all, I don't act like I'm anybody. I know I'm a somebody. My name is Amanda Fake Holmes Halterman. I know who I am.
but here's the thing: the people that know you know that who you are on the show is
Is
you.
me. That is me.
So the people that are saying
That
that
ain't and it ain't
obviously don't
scripted.
know you.
It's not
Like,
scripted, people.
do you know how many people are scared
Not
to approach
scripted.
you?
And I don't even know why because like I
Because you
said,
tell it like it is.
well, then
Because
don't
you're
ask
Amanda
questions
Faye. That's
because
why.
you
I
don't
mean,
don't ask questions that you don't want answered in an
right?
honest way.
Yeah.
Now, I have learned as I have gotten older and as I want to say that I'm learning to become more graceful as I age. Um I try to use my words wisely.
Yeah.
If you bring me a cup and I don't like the shape of it, I should just be like, oh yeah, it's a nice cup.
Thanks for the
I
cup.
don't have to tell you.
Right. Right.
Damn, I hate the way this cup feels.
Right.
Shout out to Ashley.
That's
This is one of my people.
that is one of the first
I
Fat
love
Boy app Dining Diva cups they
it.
come out
Fits in the
with.
hand. It's
So
perfect
it
for my
is
hand.
nice. I haven't seen any of them lately like that.
Yeah,
So
I haven't either.
I need to
So
bring it back.
maybe that's something we should get into. But
So let's talk. Let's what are three incidents? Let's pick a funny incident. Let's pick a what the heck incident, and then let's pick a oh my god, did you really just do that incident? All right. So let's pick us a funny incident, and it could be from a comment on social media, an interaction you've actually had face to face with somebody. So what's something that's really funny that's happened to you since all of this began, since the journey began?
I don't know. You put me on the
Well,
spot.
okay, so
I don't know because I
think
have a
about
lot of funny
those.
freaking moments.
Uh,
Because everything is funny to me. My sense of humor is kind of weird.
Yeah, you have
Um,
your sense of humor is a lot like a lot of people in the public service line of work. And I'm a huge, and I keep throwing this out there, and I keep tagging him. I'm a huge Theo Vaughn fan, right? Theo Vaughn's podcast, the way he interviews is awesome. And he interviewed a trucker, a lady trucker, and a lunch lady, and some of their stories and the way they told their stories remind me so much of you. It's just how like you're the same person from driving a school bus before you were even shown on TV to now. Like you're the exact same person. And I'll go back to people change, right? Stardom, fame, whatever you want to call it, changes people, but it hasn't changed you. How has it? How have you been able to keep that?
I mean, for me, it's just remembering where I come from. I'm still just passing through Union County. Um, I plan on relocating somewhere better for, bigger opportunities. Unfortunately, we all know Union County don't have, the opportunities that you would have in some bigger cities. So I am going to have
Absolutely.
to, go where business is where I need to go because I'm planning on using my platform to build something that my grandson can be proud of, something in memory of my great nephew, and of course I'm going to plug my cousin Katie Slate and shout out to her.
And we're
Um,
going to talk about her here in just a minute.
Okay. Anyway, I just decided that at one point in time, I said, I'm going to create this podcast and I'm going to come over here because I got all the receipts. I keep everything.
Right.
I'm not a pack rat, but like I be keeping screenshots when I
Yeah.
just got my phone to, I think there was like 15,000. I just had this phone for less than a year and there's already 15,000 pictures and shit that had to go up to iCloud. Okay. And it
Wow.
took forever. So anyway, I keeps the stuff, okay? I got the receipts. I keep receipts of old conversations. So that way, because I've been in
And she ain't talking about paper receipts, folks.
no, they're digital, honey. They're backed up. But when you say something to me, be sure and be ready
Yeah.
because when you say something to me, I'm gonna be sure and tell it like you say it. I used to be look when I was a bus driver. Any of the parents that used to come up and try me, Todd Lucas was my boss, and he knew with my attitude if they called in, uh, he would I would tell them, here's the phone number and this is my name because there's two Miss Amandas that work out there.
Right. Right.
We're both Miss Amanda H. But I want to make
Okay.
sure that I'm Halterman, Halterman, because one thing about me is I'm going to treat people with respect and I'm always going to remember who I was raised by, which my mom, who was a single parent with 5 kids, and we didn't get our get right out when we were little. I mean, I look back now, I was not a single mom, but my ex husband, we were married for 25 years or so, but my husband at the time when our kids were little, Jason worked all the damn time. That man always made sure that we had what we need. I mean, I will never take that away from him. Um, and it was just like through time, it's just, I know who I am and where I come from. And that's kind of how
Right.
I am with these parents, and I'm just like, be sure and go back and tell on me and tell it right because I'm going to treat you with respect because that's who my grandma raised me to be.
Yeah.
See, I want when that dash, I want my grandma to be proud of me. If she was standing here now, see, I didn't get that chance before she left, before she passed away. Um, I didn't get that chance to go out and make her proud. So now I'm doing it now, and I'm fixing to be a lolly, a grandma. So that's where all of these a lot of different changes come in and kind of changed me to kind of where I'm at now.
It's funny how those things, the small
Oh,
things, will just kind of transition you into a totally different person.
yeah, and I got ADHD for real,
Oh, I
legit.
do
So
too.
I got
So
like I call it squirrel too.
yeah.
And you talk to the like people from the city. I say I got too many squirrels on my power lines, and they're looking at you like you're crazy. And I said, you ain't ever sit out on your front porch and looked at the squirrels running across the power lines.
Yeah.
That's how my thoughts are
Yeah.
sometimes. But I don't know. I've just always been that person. I stand on business. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say.
Yeah.
I don't toss out the word I love you very, very. I don't go say, if I love you, I love you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to look out for you. And, if you're family, that's a whole different type of love.
Right.
That's a whole different type of coming in
Yeah.
to my fold. But for me, it's like, if you give me respect, don't be afraid people to approach me. I'm probably one of the most approachable people that there are. But just understand and know that as a
Get ready. Yeah.
as a human being, I'm gonna meet energy with energy. So come
Right.
correct when you come.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's so moving forward, is there anything that you're super I know I'm excited about your own podcast. I think that's going to be really cool, and I can't wait for you to get it started and get it out there. And it's going to be called Tea Time
With
with
Amanda.
Amanda.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it's going to be spelled Tyme, Tea Time with Amanda. Gage and Glenn, y'all got to understand, my baby child, Dylan, was the baby for 16 years
right.
until Gage and Glenn come along. Okay. Now the next baby's going to be my
And
grandbaby.
that's Amy's
Amy's two
boys.
boys.
Okay.
Yeah, my nephews. Um, and they call me TT. Okay.
Okay.
Which it kind of started with them being auntie, couldn't say auntie, so it was
Right.
TT.
Right.
So tea time with Amanda, but it's just going to be a place where I kind of want to be like you. I did go back and do my research before I even responded, because I want to make sure that I give the voice to the people who didn't have one.
Right.
I'm going to open
Absolutely.
up my chair to come and hopefully one day, whenever I can, I want my sisters and my brother to come individually and be
I
interviewed and
I
even
would
maybe you
love I
sometime.
would love to have them come here. And that's the thing, and we talked a little bit earlier on. I've got a gentleman now that he lives up in Boonville, Indiana, and my uncle turned me on to him, and he's a barber. But before he got successful and he got his get right card gotten right, he had some issues, and I'm waiting for him to get here because I want him to tell a story, and that's the whole thing about my podcast is if you've got a story to tell, I want you to tell it because so many times people with amazing stories are left in the dark, right? They're left on the side of the road because somebody's or something overshadows them. And if there's a big event or a big life altering change that happens with somebody, I want that chair that you're sitting in is open to anybody and everybody. If you've got a story, I want you in it. And that was my whole thing. And it came about just I had my TikTok thing, and of course YouTube is hard. I've learned YouTube's hard to grow on, right? And TikTok just kind of blew up overnight, and this whole Front Porch America thing started, and I haven't told that story yet, and I guess probably need to do my own single solo podcast to tell that
Right.
story of why it started because it's not what everybody thinks.
I think you should.
But I encourage everybody that wants or has a dream or has some kind of ideal to follow that, right? And your podcast will be really really good. I think it'll be one that's going to last a very very long time. It's going to make a big impact. So we'll move on. We'll get to the point. Okay,
Just keep me on track. If you see me being that squirrel that's
girl,
going the
I'm
wrong
squirrely
way,
too. Like I
let me
mean,
know, because I will be here until tomorrow talking.
I'll just be looking around the studio room here, and I'll say something, and I'll completely get off track. Be like, oh, hey, by the way, there's this
Yeah, I was
picture over
going somewhere
here.
and then Melo
So,
got up and moved, and then I was like distracted, and he already knows what time it is.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. So anyway, so I know there's a lot of things you can't discuss with filming, production. Um, what are some things you can discuss that you may want, and a lot of the stuff I've went back and I've watched some of your videos and stuff, and you talk about, but what are some pros and cons about that? What are some things you like and dislike?
well, I mean, I first of all, I am not a lawyer. Okay, I
Right.
probably should have been, because I love a good debate and I can argue both sides, and I'm a very loyal person.
Yeah.
So I might have missed my calling, but it's God's not done with
It's
me
never too
yet.
late.
You
Right.
never know. Um, but Where was I going with that? One of my classmates from school. He actually become a lawyer, and I was thinking of
Okay.
him.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
what was it again?
so what are some things good and bad about production
Yeah.
that you like about being on TV?
Um, well, number one is the platform that it has given me. You know, Tammy and Amy, this is all me sitting here in this chair today and having the platform I have. It all started with my sisters.
Yeah.
I know that I would not be famous if it wasn't for them and the exposure that I get on the show. And you know, I do want to shout out to, you know, my producers, all the staff at Crazy Leg Productions, because it has been a hell of a ride getting us to where
Right. I
we've
can
been.
imagine.
And each person on our film crew throughout the years have, some are still family, some of them we don't like. It's just like family.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
like everywhere
Yeah.
you work, we
Right.
like some of them and some of them we don't.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, you know, we have a job to do. And at first it wasn't like that. But now we've all kind of realized that we show up on set, we got a job to do, and then we go home and leave, you know, leave that,
Leave that where it is.
you know, where it
Yeah.
is. But I think that, what was it? Where are we at? Because I want to be, so like, I'm going to tell you what I'm safe to talk about. The
Yeah.
way I explain the non-disclosure agreement, because I'm not an attorney, is if you have seen it air and TLC has let the network has aired it, like if you've seen it on an episode or in
Yeah.
a trailer, I can talk about it.
Okay.
If you ask me a question, if you have anything in particular,
So,
I'll just tell you.
yeah,
No, I
with
can't
that
talk
being
about it.
known, let's
That's what's safe, and then I'll tell you if I can indulge further
so
on
the
that.
fight with you and Amy.
Which one?
The one.
Are you talking about Amy in Florida or okay?
Amy in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
What we only see what they want us to see, right?
Right.
Obviously, there's always more to the story than what we can see. I don't even care about the fight. I want to know how did each of you feel after the fact that the fight actually happened? Because I can just knowing your sisters and knowing your story. There's a lot more to you guys than just what people see on TV, right? And I want to make sure people know that, because there is so much more. I just hit the wrong button. There we go. To you, Amy, and Tammy, and Chris, and there's so much more to you guys than just what is put out on TV. What happened when the cameras were off? Is what I want to know.
Well, I mean, I want to set that day up exactly how it happened in a safe way.
Yeah.
So Gage and Glenn were what? 3 and 2, 2 and 1,
Something
you know,
like
in that
yeah,
age.
really young. Yeah.
And when we're on vacation, we film a lot. And, you know, Amy had recently become a single mom and was going through some issues. And I'm not going to dig into that. Don't get it twisted, y'all. That's my little sister. And don't nobody know her out here in this world better than me and my siblings and herself. And, you know, she can talk about that on her own. But, you know, we were just trying to let her, because, you know, as older siblings, we come in, and for myself, I speak for myself because I've raised 4 kids on my own. You know, my husband was working 16-hour shifts. So when he was at work, I was on my own.
And I'm going to say something real quick. I really appreciate the way you talk about your ex-husband, because a lot of times it becomes very negative and volatile. And I appreciate the fact that you're stating the good things. You know, that means a lot to a lot of people.
Oh, honey, I could come on here and tell all kinds of bad shit.
We all could.
And you know what? He could come on here and say a lot of bad shit about me.
Right? They
and
all
you know
could.
what? Yeah. It probably is very true.
Absolutely.
Because point of view, POV, point of view is everything.
Absolutely.
Because his truth is his truth and mine is mine.
Absolutely.
I know exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
And he knows how he felt. And those feelings are valid. And that is something that I think that we should get out there too. Let's start practicing the fact that just because you didn't mean to hurt somebody's feelings doesn't mean that you weren't wrong. People's feelings are valid. If it hurt your damn feelings, it hurt your feelings. Just take note of it and say, hey, look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And try not to do it again.
Right.
You know, I think in a lot of it, just like being famous. It goes back to people think I'm not approachable. First of all, I have resting bitch face. My face just looks like this. Most of the time, it's because I'm sitting here wondering. I wonder if I stayed at an Airbnb. I'm not kidding you. I stayed at an Airbnb a couple of months ago that has trim around the floor similar to this. And I'm wondering if that cleaning lady ever found my AirPod because I lost one of my AirPods and I never found it. So I might be very well sitting and walking, looking you dead in the face,
Right.
and I might be thinking about something
Something
else.
completely off the wall.
Did
Yeah.
I turn the coffee pot off? I think it's the one that turns itself off. Man, that's gonna be a bitch to clean. Ice and salt. Put it in there. Like this is my brain
Right.
all
Right.
the time.
Yeah.
I'm not an unapproachable person.
Yeah.
I just have a lot of shit on my mind.
Yeah.
You know, like damn,
Have you ever had somebody, and I know we're completely jumping off subject again, but have you
damn. Here
ever
we go.
had somebody, have you ever been in that moment, right, where your mind is, oh crap, did I turn the coffee pot off or whatever, and have somebody approach you and you just spout out some ridiculous off the wall crap? Like, because I know I've done it. I know I'll be thinking about something I did 2 or 3 days ago, and somebody asked me a question, and I respond with what I'm thinking in my head to them, like, "Oh yeah, actually, I cut it too short, and I had to go get another one." And they're like,
Yeah.
"I just asked you if you tied your shoes." Have you ever done that?
Yes,
Like,
I do it all the time,
all-
and people just look at me like I've lost my mind. And I'm like, first of all, yeah, I lost my damn mind. Okay, I
yeah,
mean, sometimes my words don't be, my brain don't get its act right out,
right.
and I sometimes have to tell it, get yourself
Settle down a
together.
little bit. Yeah. So
Simmer down
we'll
up
go
there.
back to building up the day with the fight
Yes, yes,
with that argument. I guess it could be called a fight or whatever. Um, like me and my brother could beat the crap out of each other, and it's not really a fight. It's just an argument. You know what I mean?
right. I mean, that
It's
was a real
totally
life.
different.
I mean, at the very moment, it was a real life fight. I mean, it was a
Okay.
real life argument. It was nothing that was scripted. It happened very naturally, you know. So we had already had a long day filming, and the babies didn't sleep good the night before, and Amy was stressed out, and we were trying to give her her space, and everybody's trying to do their part, kind of walking on eggshells, and I had took myself outside, and at the time I was still smoking cigarettes and I was walking around with vapes
Right. Right.
too. And I'm out there talking shit, not just, me and my big sister Misty out on the back porch. And next thing I know, I mean, the film crew's there and we were filming, but I thought they was in there doing whatever. I told him, y'all give me a damn moment.
Right.
And they know no, most time when I tell them give me a damn moment, they know to
Step
mind
back.
their business and leave me the hell alone. So then I go out here and I'm on that back patio looking at the ocean because the water is just it's my safe place. I love being there. And the next thing I know, I hear Tammy screaming. I'm like, what the hell's she in there screaming about? Well, next thing I know, here come Amy to the door. And it's like looking, I mean, it's like I'm watching this shit on TV. Like I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, are you serious? Like the day before I left the restaurant, I'd bought my brand new dress. I'd lost a little bit of weight.
Right.
And everything I had on was new. I was single, all the way down to the new bra. And if you're big chested up top, you know what it means when you buy a new bra. Them bitches are expensive.
Yeah.
I took myself home with the babies, and Amy come out there hollering and screaming, talking about, ain't nobody helping me and all this shit. So I'm like, all right. Now, Amy, you ain't what you nothing to do is stand here and talk crazy, okay? So I go on in there and I'm like, let me just go in here, and all I'm thinking is I'm gonna go get the babies, remove them from the situation. In my brain, this is what I'm thinking. So,
Right.
but all the while, I'm having to keep my little sisters in check because you ain't finna sit here and talk too much shit
Right.
when I've been sitting here helping you. And so when I had followed her into the bedroom to give her a place of privacy to go
Right.
and bring the babies away. And she come at me, and I shoved her away from me and my son. Of course, looked out for his mom, like, hey, you ain't free to fucking put your hands on my mom. And I let Justin know, no, you're Ro, I'm your mama.
Right. Right.
But I put him in check, and Chris is over here. And of course, the editing process, there was a long, and I'm telling you all what happened on the show, and I'm leaving
Right.
out
Right.
some things. And one of the things that they showed was her coming up to apologize to me. And one of the things about me is you can stand there and say whatever the hell you want to, but don't put your hands on me.
Right.
Now, I am not a violent person by no means, but I will defend myself. And I might get my ass whooped, but you're going to know I was there.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
Devin Hall from the bus garage used to call me Rocky, and we'll leave it at that. Now, that's back in my high school years. I'm 44, and we don't do that shit
We
no
don't
more.
do that no more.
But at that very moment, I turned around and I let her know, bitch, if you ever put your hands on me again, I'll fucking bury you.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean I'd, kill
Right.
her. I just meant like,
Yeah, it's about
bitch,
to go
we fixing
down.
to pee.
Yeah.
We gonna square up
Square
next
up.
time.
Yep.
But thankfully I was able to recognize that she was having a moment, and that's
Right.
just what I'm gonna say because it's been televised enough.
Yeah.
And was able to remove myself away from that. But more than anything, there was some other shit that I can't talk about because, it's probably goes against what it wouldn't be in my best interest to say some
Right,
shit.
right, right.
But these people know exactly who the hell they are. And I'm going to be honest, they ain't ever spoke to me again. And I'm pretty sure that the two people I'm thinking of right now probably wouldn't dare because they know exactly how the hell I feel. But um, it's one of those things where it's like looking back now, I'm so thankful that I didn't get hood. I'm so thankful that I was able to see and recognize the need and what the issue was.
Yeah.
And that's, my sister had, it's been talked about a lot about postpartum depression. I suffered that when I had twins. I had two babies. My young oldest boy was 9 months old when I got pregnant with my twins.
Oh, wow.
He was 18 months old when I had the twins. And my body was, I was a freaking mess. I didn't know it was postpartum depression. I didn't know. I mean, this was 21
Right. Yeah.
years
It
ago.
wasn't. Yeah.
So I recognized what she had because of the studying that I did and the awareness that's been brought to it. And I'm thankful I was able to recognize that because, it could have went a completely different way.
Absolutely could have. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, man, I would hurt you to protect her.
Yeah.
Your children, your siblings, your mama, your daddy, your family, we should all be protective of what's ours.
Right.
That's human nature. That's mine right there. Um, so I'm thankful that I, was able to restrain myself and not throw hands like I really wanted to. Um, and so, that kind of really went viral there, some of that
Well,
shit
and
there.
that's the thing. People don't understand when you're put in that position. It takes a lot to restrain yourself from reacting that way, right? And I can speak on that. Just like I said the past week. Boy, I'm telling you,
No, I'm sorry. I don't know what you over.
good.
I don't know what the hell you
Yeah.
been going through
Yeah.
because I laugh and I'm looking because I know what the hell I've been through this damn week.
Girl.
Woo.
And I'm like, 15 years ago, the old me, Bub, you wouldn't have.
Ooh, you see that nose?
Ooh,
You, you seen that
So,
little
so I'm
twitch?
proud of myself. I'm
You
like,
should be.
I'm proud of myself, and like I almost get emotional about it because I'm like, 15, 20 years ago, this little dude wouldn't have done that, man. I don't care how big bad you think you are. You might have whooped my ass, but like you said, I'm gonna be there because I'm gonna eat you. I'm
Right.
gonna eat you real good.
But
And
there comes a point in time in your life and you're my age,
yes,
you got to stop being about that dumb shit and
you're
start
right.
building something, which is what
Yes,
you're doing here with Front Porch
and that's the
America.
thing is, you know, I seen somebody out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is not how I need to react to this situation. This situation needs to be, we need to fix this, right? There's somebody else that just came out randomly. And at the time, I had no idea who it was or whatever. I just knew it was a female, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this in front of. So I kind of changed my direction, left the situation, and if I would have acted the way my mind wanted me to react, right? The old me wanted, it would have been a totally different story, and it would have went against everything that I'm trying to do here, right? So just
Right.
like I understand where you're coming from, and people want to focus on those incidents in the show for you,
Mm-hmm.
for you guys. The highlights are those very big dramatic scenes, and it's not as much as the smaller scenes, that the small things you do that make a difference, right? So for me, the small things that you guys do is like help coordinate the when y'all were in town here at the house. I don't like to give out a lot of details on
Mm-hmm.
locations and stuff because people be creepy, you know.
Yeah, you could
Uh,
just tell me whereabouts you was. I
yeah.
know.
So you guys were planning something when Amy lived in town,
Mm-hmm.
um, in Morganfield.
Yeah.
I can say that.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of effort you guys put into it, you know, and then again when in Sturgis, y'all had a little get together, and it's those things. I'm like, man, check this out. You know, they're doing things that people are not going to notice because it's not those high adrenaline arguments or fights or whatever. But they've spent the last 2 or 3 days organizing how all the food, all the decorations, and all this stuff because they care about you as a person, not because, oh, but if you and I go out here in the backyard and the cameras are on us, we're going to get in a fight and that's going to get ratings. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what people look for. I'm sorry, it's sad to say, but that's what people want. They want that drama. They want that adrenaline rush episode or whatever, right?
Right. And I do want to make
So
sure that we perfectly understand, shout out to Nick and Allie and several of our other Nick, the other Nick that left recently in Tokyo. These are some of our APs. These are
okay,
the ones that work talent producers. They work directly hand in hand with the cast members, who is me and my siblings. And they make sure we have what we like to drink on set. And they take care of us and they make sure we're where we're supposed to be. Um, and I don't know why I couldn't remember why, but I wanted to shout out to them because they keep me grounded as where I'm at. When shit like that breaks down on set, I have a safe person. I recently have appointed Melo as my manager.
so let's talk
Um,
about Melo. Let's
okay.
bring him up. Uh, where and why and how did Melo come in the picture?
Well, I
That's what we
mean,
want to know.
do you want it? Can he pull up a chair?
Pull
Would
up a
that be
chair,
good?
Melo.
Here,
Let's
Daddy,
get up.
pull up a chair.
Pull up that chair up
And
there,
we've
buddy.
not. This is
We'll
not
adjust.
our.
We'll adjust some cameras
This
if
is
we
not our
need
first
to.
time being. We go live together at home,
Yeah.
but we're not gonna go into. You look. There's a wooden chair right there if you would like something.
Yeah, there. It squeaks, but you're more
Oh.
than welcome to use it. So let's.
Would you rather me sit in his lap? No, I'm just playing. No, it's not that type of party, is it? And this can be a little informal. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything huge. I mean,
And that's the thing about my podcast is, they say the camera puts 20. Man, you're a big dude anyway, dude. Like you big dude. You big dude.
Daddy.
So so we got Mello on camera now. And we're like I said, this we're very informal, man. I'm not worried about what everybody's like. Oh my goodness, it's not perfect. I'm over here hitting my buttons trying to figure out how to transition everything, right? So let's talk about Mello. What happened? How it happened? Where he came in? Did you pick him up at a Bucky's or something, or what's the
First
deal
of all,
with
I
him?
love me some Bucky's. I wish I could me some smoked brisket from Bucky's. Um, well, I had recently moved. I wanted to go into a little bit deeper, so I come back from Florida in May.
Yeah.
Of last year, and I meant what I said when I was on camera at the back of that U-Haul, and I said I'm leaving Kentucky, and I'm not just closing the chapter, I'm closing the book. And people thought that I was saying I'm leaving my family behind, I'm getting up out of here.
Right.
No, honey, it wasn't about that. See, I had been sitting from November from November up until January, not able to walk because of my knee injury.
I thought you had like knee surgery
I
or
tore my
something. I remember
ACL,
that.
complete
Yep.
tear of the ACL. The meniscus had a bucket handle tear that was flipped back on top of itself.
Mm.
And then the nerve block, messed up my thigh, which had, my therapist had to wake back up. I mean, it was just a damn process.
Yeah.
So after standing still and some soul searching and knowing who God was, you know, I come back home and I got my little let me back up. I come back home and I was staying at a friend's place in Madisonville, and That's where my cousin Katie lives. And I didn't know why God brought me back here, but I knew that I had to trust him because he's gotten me this far.
Right, right.
And so Katie and I, I dated a gentleman briefly who was very good to me. There was no bad blood. I decided it wasn't good for me.
Right.
I have my boundaries, and I can go into that some other time. But my cousin was just like, girl, and we was sitting around, minding our business, and she was just like, I was on a social media, a social website, and she was like, why are you up on here? Just
You see that
stop looking at
smile he
me.
puts on, didn't
Stop
you?
looking at me,
Huh?
Melo.
Look. She like stop looking, stop. Uh,
So
look how red her face
my
is.
cousin's just like, no, girl, no, bitch. You gotta, if my cousin Katie was here, man, you could understand. And if you know her,
I
you
do.
know.
So, the history with Katie is my grandparents and my uncles and all them went to a church that they were a part of. The Jeremiah
Okay,
and
what church?
Katie.
Because I
It
probably
was
went
it
there
was
too.
behind the marathon in Sturgis years
Yeah,
ago.
I know,
Years
bald
ago.
headed, bald preacher like this. Franny and Jerry was the preacher. I used to go to church there.
Yeah, so I'd go there a
Um,
lot too.
I used to
And,
go to
and
church
and
there when I
listen
was a
to
kid.
Jeremiah and them sing and all the whole family sing and I'm actually trying to get Jeremiah to put music to my podcast. I want him.
The guy that we was at church, he's playing the piano.
Yeah,
Yes,
he has
Jeremiah's the one that we saw at Walmart.
Man, he
Yeah,
is
he's.
And his vocal.
Yeah, him and his wife Marcy.
Oh yeah, that's
So
they were
I
my
reached out to
cousins.
him and I was like, dude, I want you to be the one to put the music to my podcast, my introduction music. I want them to do it. So hopefully he's still working on that. If he's not,
Their
maybe we
story
can get
alone
him
is
on it.
beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
It is
And
beautiful.
yeah, we're gonna get. So that's my
Yeah.
thing, and we'll get back to that. I like to have local people who've done a lot of big
Right,
things,
absolutely.
and they're one of them.
But
So
Katie, um, some shit had happened, some stuff had happened, and we had been living, just 6 minutes away from each other, and I'd been down there for a couple of months, but I had just pulled myself away from everyone because I was going through this transformation. I was going through some shit, man.
right.
My kids was, man, I was going through some shit, and I had to pull myself back, and I went through some things and got some closure that I needed from some individuals and also from myself in certain situations, growth.
Mm-hmm.
And Katie had reached out because something had happened, and I didn't answer the phone. And I thought, I cannot believe this bitch. This is my cousin. She gonna send me a message. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you. I'm like, bitch, I'm on the phone with somebody and I can't hang up right now. I'll call you back, And so our relationship was rekindled. And then I moved to Morganfield. As we was there, we're going to insert Melo. As I was there in Madisonville, I was looking through, swipe, doing minding my damn business. And she was like, girl, you just reading too much into it because I'll go through and I'll look, and especially if they're local. Shout out to my brother because he ain't never going to get that one. Yeah, it's if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, and he cannot get it right.
He can't get it right.
He cannot get his act right out of his pocket. Hold on, that motherfucker.
It's a creek don't crack. That ain't right.
And we're currently working on content where we've put cameras up inside of our living areas in the house.
Yeah.
So it kind of just shows a little natural side of us. And that's all stuff that's worked on being edited. But with my podcast, I don't really care about a damn thing right now. Right now, my health is number one. I started having these episodes and all of those things. But anyway,
so let's get to Melo.
Let's get to
Melo.
Let's get to Daddy.
Because I can see like that he over smiling, right? And I can see why you done been like, hey boo, come here.
So I was on Melo's page and I'm looking at his pictures and okay, well I didn't zoom in like I wanted, so I'm gonna take a screenshot, click out of that, go back, zoom in. I'm looking in the background. I'm looking to see if I see anything that's abnormal.
Any red flags.
Yeah. And then, of course, if I do.
She said she screenshotted so she could zoom in again.
For those of
Can't even.
those of the people that are listening to this podcast because you're my followers, that's that due diligence I keep telling y'all about. Don't y'all tell me, and don't let me go tell my best friends either, because don't you worry, honey, the CIA and the FBI and the private investigator ain't got shit on us. When I tell you I know, honey, believe me, I know, and I got receipts. Now take that to the bank and cash it, honey, because that check is good.
Lord,
Now that's some tea time
that's
with
some good
Amanda type
stuff.
shit.
Yeah, that's
But so I didn't see no red flags, and
Okay.
Katie was like, "You got to look at it like this." And this is some old school type stuff. Would you smash or pass?
right.
Okay, and that gets into, would you have relationships with this person outside? You know, would
Okay,
you just meet up
okay.
with them and leave them? A
Okay.
one night stand, basically.
Okay. All right. All
For
right.
lack of better
Yep,
words.
yep.
And I've not ever been that person. I mean, if anybody comes along and tells you, then, you know, let's see some proof then, buddy,
Right.
because
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not promiscuous and I'm proud of that. Anyway. So I was like, you know, he's cute, you know, all of this. And I was like, okay.
I'm still fat, but not.
So anyway, I hit the heart button.
Okay.
And this was around October 1st of last year. It was actually a little bit before that.
Yeah.
And you know, he was on a road trip and we was chit-chatting back and forth, and you know, we finally ended up meeting up.
With nothing, you know,
No expectations.
Right. Right.
I had no expectations of getting into a relationship with anybody else. I wanted to just meet up. I'm a girl.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to meet up and go out and have somebody, you know, pay for dinner and open the door for me and just,
Absolutely,
you know,
yeah.
tell me that I'm pretty and hold my hand and, oh, you want my jacket? You know, it's,
Right.
you know, everything that a real man is supposed to do for their
Right.
significant other or a real significant other or whatever.
Right. Right.
And so we met up, and at the time, I was kind of having some issues with my vision then. It had started kind of going in and out, and I always jokingly say I suffer from the CSs. I can't see shit, can't hear shit, and can't remember shit. So don't ask me shit,
Yeah. I got
okay?
All
Because
right.
if you do, you might fuck around and find out. Because I don't damn know, okay? But I'll tell you something. We'll figure it out together.
Oh, this is so gonna
So-
be one of my highlight reels.
He walks up to the car, and he sits in the passenger seat. We meet up, and at this point, you know, like I said, I'm kind of half-ass scared to drive. I hadn't passed out yet, but my vision, and I've been proud because I'm the only one of my siblings that ain't got no eye problem.
got no
you know?
eye
I'm like,
problem.
I'm 43 and I got no. And so I said, he sits in the car, and I was like, hey, how are you? And
Give me your ID.
She said, "Give me your ID."
She said, where's your ID?
Did you do it because he was black?
No, you want to know why? Because I made the mistake of letting a motherfucker drive my car one time who said they had a license.
Oh, you didn't
and
even
didn't.
you didn't even care if
I don't
that
give
was
a
really
damn.
him or not.
No.
You just want to know sure.
No,
you
I
just
wanted.
wanted to
Let
know
me
if
see your
that-
license.
if they were legit.
Yeah, I want
Can
to
this
see
boy
your license.
drive?
And I ain't even gonna lie, I went through this with one of my children. One of my children let somebody drive that said they had a permit. They got caught up
So
in
you,
court. So I had I had went through this a couple of months prior to this.
y'all, she didn't care if
I don't
OD
give a
was gonna
damn.
kidnap her.
No,
She just
because
wanted to know if
first
he
of all,
was legit to
because
drive her
this is
car.
Kentucky, honey. I told you who my adopted parents are.
Right.
Do you think I need?
No.
Okay, no. Jack Bailey is my
No.
adopted dad. I do not need to. I can take care of myself.
Right.
Believe that.
Okay.
Believe that.
That's some funny stuff.
And my aim is very good.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, I just say, "You got a license?" He's like, "Yeah." And I'm an overthinker, and I'm like, "Okay, now I've already shared my location with my girls. They only a couple of people get the location when I want to be, you know, minding my business because my boys be nosy as hell.
Yeah.
They think they get to tell mama what the hell to
got
do.
you. I
Okay,
got
but
you.
anyway, because they're my protectors.
Yeah,
But
I got
anyway,
you.
I pull it out and I look at it. I have my phone. I snapped a picture of it. He was looking the other way. And I was like, that's his name. This is where we are. Everything looked good to me.
Now, mind you, all this is happening within like 10 minutes. You know?
Okay,
Yeah, this
so
is
it's quick.
I don't even know what's
Yeah.
going on until I-
So he's like, what's that all about? And I'm like, come on, let's switch. You about to drive. I don't know that area very well anyway,
Right.
but he knows that area. So getting to where we were getting to, just in the maneuver, you know, let him drive. And at the end of the day, I've drove professionally for 10 years.
Right. Right.
And my ex-husband was blind in one eye, literally. Shout out to Jason for serving our military, our country. He's a veteran.
Absolutely.
He lost his eye serving the country. But anyway, he always scared the hell out of me because his depth perception was off.
Yeah.
So I drove a damn lot. And when I was younger, I had control issues. And shut up, I know I still do, damn it. I'm working on it. He's still working on me, y'all.
Y'all get
Jesus
that. Y'all
is
get
still
that. Jesus,
working on
little
me.
Jesus.
Hallelujah. But you know, he got in the car and I had no I didn't want to fall in love again.
Yeah.
I didn't want to subject myself to that. I had decided that I would either find me a man friend. I mean, this is just the world that we live in.
Absolutely.
I'd find me a man friend and we could have relations, but I don't want to get married. I don't want nobody telling me what the hell I can do, when I can do it, or where I'm going to, who can be in my house and where my children can be at. No,
Right,
it's
right.
not that type of party this way. And then insert Melo. So what was your first impression of me, Melo? We're going to put him on the spot
He's on the
because
spot.
we've only recorded just a little bit of this stuff for ourselves.
Oh wow. Okay.
Well, like I said, when I first walked up to the car, you know, it was like, you know, she was a stranger to me besides, you know, over the phone.
Right.
So when she asked for my ID, I was just thinking like, okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, I was observing, you know what I'm saying? More than anything, I was just kind of getting to know her, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was no big deal. I thought, okay, well, you know, she wants to see my ID, great. You know, maybe that means she's like real anal about safety and
Right,
security,
right.
or, you know, whatever. So I let her see the, and after that, it was like, you know, the more we hung out, the plan was to go out to, you know, like I said, it was very informal. It was
Right.
not like a big planned date.
Didn't really have a plan, to be honest. We were just meeting up.
I'm just gonna meet up and just see what happens. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and
No expectations.
two
Yeah.
people in their 40s, you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So we get together and we get to talking. I'm like, damn, she like down to earth, like more than I expected. You know, because when you meet people online, you know, whatever, you kind of, you know, it's a lot of weirdos out here.
Yeah.
So
Did you know I was a celebrity at that
no,
point?
well, when I talked to her on the phone, she was like, she kind of told me something about a TV show.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, I kind of blew it off like whatever, you know, because I'm still talking about. And then she's like, "No, honey, you need to check, you know, Google me." You know, so I'm like, "All right, whatever." I never.
It wasn't a matter of like being.
You
Right.
was saying like stuck up, but
It was just
Right.
because I get so, you know, you go
So
to
look.
so many people.
Yes.
Damn, I just Google me. Hell, if
Right.
you wanna
Yeah.
know
Just
who
check
I
it
am,
out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
there you go.
All
And
my
then
information
tell
is
me
out
if you
there.
wanna come.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
That's
now
where
I
I
know that's
was.
also. Now that I know that's her thinking. So
Right,
See how
yeah.
she did her background on me.
Yeah.
She was thinking like, "Well, do your background." You know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So anyway, we got to hanging out. You know, it was just like really organic. It was kind of, you know, we got to talking about our, you know, childhood. You know, just the typical date stuff. You know, it got deep, real deep. Like, and it was like, you know, I like this girl. Like for real. Like, you know what I mean? Like her. Like her. Like, you know what I mean? Like I've known her my whole life. Like her. You know
That's
what
cool.
I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, it just like it's just evolved over time. I don't want to get into all the
To
little
what it is.
details,
Yeah.
but it's evolved
Yeah.
over
Save.
time.
Yeah. Save most of the good details for y'all. So,
Oh,
I mean.
absolutely. There's nothing that's
Yeah,
been
we
shared
we
that
don't want to
not
we don't
already
want to
started.
because we definitely don't want to take anything away from
Right,
yours. You know
right.
what I mean?
No, but it's been fun. She's definitely a bag of tricks. You know what I mean?
She's a hoot.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, man. It's just been, very, very. When I met her, I told her, I said, God loves me. You know what I'm saying? Because He put you in my life. You know, He brought somebody that on my same page. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Y'all get each other pretty good.
right. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Well, I know when I spoke to you on the phone, I was like, man, he's real relaxed, laid back, chill. And I was like, I like this dude. I don't even know him. And I'm like, I like this dude. I can't wait to meet this dude.
Melo has.
I guess Melo. So where did that come from?
Yeah. His name is Leonard. Leonard
Okay.
Moore,
My
by the
name
way.
is Leonard Eugene. My social media is Leonard E. Moore.
Okay.
But my name is Leonard Eugene Moore. I'm from Chicago. Grew up in the '90s. All of that.
Yeah.
That era. And,
Yeah. The good
I
times.
got the name. Yeah, some people I would call it the good
I call it the
times,
good
yeah.
times.
But I got the name Melo back in those days, back in the '90s, the early '90s.
Excuse me, we're on set. Can you please silent your phone?
Growing up in the hood.
See, that's why I know who's everybody's jobs. Normally, that we have someone on set that's
Somebody telling us.
I used to hang around a lot of older guys. You know what I mean? I usually hang around people my age. I hung around the older guys. So, people say you got an old soul, all that stuff. So a lot of the older guys, they be out drinking and doing whatever. Oh man, hey Melo, that's my Melo. That dude, that little boy right there, Melo. You know what I mean? And it just kind of just stuck with me. All my friends started calling me Melo.
That's cool. I like that.
It got to the point that even my own mother was calling. You know what I mean? So it's like, you pretty much, if you call me Leonard, you either know me from social media or it's like some business
childhood
type of thing.
or
no childhood.
So childhood was Melo.
Yeah,
okay,
Melo,
so you've had Melo since a child.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Melo is like my, if I hear Leonard, I'm like, huh?
What? Who's it? Yeah.
Yeah, like who? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Which Leonard?
Well, so everybody calls me Rick, right? But all my friends growing up, it was Ricky. So when I hear Ricky, I've either went to school with you or you knew me when I was a kid, Right. So I kind of get that. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, that's where Melo comes from. Just
All right. And it's just kind of stuck, and that's a pretty good name. That's a pretty good nickname, man.
Right, and then I will go ahead and finish and share just because my transformation has been. There's some of us, like you said, that we're definitely going to save for ourselves.
Yeah.
And one thing that I'm going to say up front and foremost, is that this is mine right here. Yeah. This is mine. This is my relationship. And just like Dolly Parton said about her husband, I don't know if you've ever heard that, but she said that sometimes, you got to listen to those old folks because they say things and you got to hold on to it.
Yeah.
But she had said in an interview one time, somebody had asked her why come her husband wasn't up front in the middle of all of her pictures and stuff. And she said, well, some things you got to keep private, and that, that I protect that. I love that the most, and that's kind of the message she was giving.
Yep.
So her husband was out there with her in the public somewhat, but for the most part, he was always in the shadows. And that's and she shared what she wanted to of her relationship. And that's kind of what it is with Melo and I. We have chosen to share what we want of our relationship.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I've done that. I've been secretive in dating. I've been put it all out there. I've been half and half. And I'm now to this point to where I have grown a lot just because of Melo, simply because he does that ADHD, all them squirrels on my power lines.
Yep.
All that noise,
yeah.
he quiets that noise for me. And we've been through a lot of things in the short time we've been together, but through all of those things, he has heard me cry out in multiple different ways, to my maker and the creator above. And I know that God knew what he was doing when he put Melo and I together.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason.
Yes,
man.
He definitely brings a peace.
I just did an interview with one of my best friends growing up. His wife, he passed away of pancreatic cancer, and that's why everything happens for a reason. The reasons you may never know the reasons, or the reasons that happens you may find out and you may not like, but everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely. And then, I wanted to say that I was, kind of leading up into this, not trying, I know this is your podcast.
Nope,
and
you're good. This is your platform as well.
These are all very important little aspects of things. And, God gave me Melo, and him and I, we've started forming our relationship. And, Melo's just Melo. He's not about the drama. He's not about the bullshit, but through all of the stuff that's come up since we've been together, he's been right there by my side.
Yeah.
And, we know, when I say I know, I fucking know. And he does too. We know what it is. Yeah. And then moving forward, I mentioned my cousin Katie. She kind of is the reason that Melo and I ended up together, because she gave me that courage to not look so deep and pick things apart and just go out and have fun. Right. She's like, bitch, you are 43 years old. You are beautiful. You are Amanda Faye fucking Combs Halterman. You are who you are. Go out, have fun. Stop looking so deep. So I hit that heart button. We end up together, and then fast forward to a couple of days before Thanksgiving. Katie had gotten ill about a week before Thanksgiving and had been in the hospital, and she had some previous health issues, and we just kind of thought we was, it's a smaller hospital or whatever. Doctors hurry up and wait. And then it was either the day before or 2 days before she got the official diagnosis that she had stage 4 stomach cancer and stage 4 ovarian cancer with Mets, which means with fingers, if you will. And then there was a spot on her abdominal wall. So we sat with that information for a while.
How old is Katie now?
Katie is 36 or 37. Hell, she's well, hell, it goes like this with Jeremiah and Jesse and Katie and me and my siblings.
Yeah.
It goes something like Amy, Jesse, Katie, Jeremiah, Tammy, me. Like we're all stair stepped. I know Jeremiah's I'm 44. Jeremiah's 43.
Yeah.
Jesse's 42. So Katie's 37.
Yeah, 37, 38, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, my family had decided that we were going to celebrate Thanksgiving after, the actual holiday. So my crew decided that that's where we were going.
Gotcha.
And so we sat with that information for a while, and then Katie.
So, is there any? Do you guys have any kind of GoFundMe, any kind of thing?
Yes.
So, can we put that out there? Let's go ahead and put that out there.
Yes,
so we
most
can
definitely. I did not create, and I wanted to explain that too. I did not create the GoFundMe account myself. Melo did that. Under Leonard Moore, with Katie's permission.
Right.
We sat, like I said, we sat with this information that Katie was sick for a long time, and then she decided that she wanted to go public. And we said, she come out and said, "Okay, I'm sick," and then life's just life in. Cancer is not cheap. So I said, "Sis, she's like a sister to me. It's my cousin." And I said, "Cuz, like, let me help you. Like, I'm not rich. Yes, we work for the show, but we make a standard living just the same as everyone else. And we do our part, but it's still not enough. Insurances still don't do right. And that's a whole nother rant we're not getting into."
Right.
But, Mello and I went to her together and said, "Can we please start a GoFundMe account for you?" Because it was the quickest thing that we knew that we could do, and I can use my platform.
We felt, I feel like both of us was on the same page. We felt we wanted to do something for it, but we didn't have the funds ourselves to.
Absolutely.
So, I was like, "Baby, let's see if we can, maybe do a GoFundMe." I said, "Let's contact Katie, see if she's okay with it," because some people feel, I'm like they're begging or something. So I didn't want to do anything without her permission.
Right.
Gotcha.
And
Right.
that's basically what happened. So.
And also, we've got the receipts to prove everything that we need to prove, and that's if you want to clock some tea, then we can clock it because we've got that too.
Right.
But with that being said, moving forward, Ashley and Scott with the Fat Boy app are actually they're going to be organizing. I think it's called a poker run.
Yep.
Very soon, and we're hoping to collaborate with Jeremiah and his band buddies. And I'm sorry, cousin, I can't. It used to be Glass Tones,
yeah.
but I don't know if it's
have
still.
they changed it?
Honey, I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't remember.
All I know is Jeremiah and Marcy are phenomenal.
Yeah,
so
they're
that's
just my
what
cousins.
I don't know.
They're just my freaking
it's
cousins.
Jeremiah and Marcy and the Phenomenal Band. I don't know what they're called.
they're
I think
just
they were
my
the Glass
cousins.
Tones.
I like to give it
Whoever they.
Jeremiah in studio.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
I referred back to it was funny because one of my favorite songs is the song that there's a roof up above me.
Yep.
And shoes on my feet. And there's food on my table. And thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me.
Yeah.
Because I know that I am blessed way more than what I ever should be.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that He continues to bless me and give me opportunities like this to come and share my story and just know that I promise to not ever forget where I come from. I know some of the medical runs that you've made and along with some other ones on that crew and the dignity that you show and the love and compassion that you and others in our community has shown to strangers.
When it comes down to it, we have a pretty good community.
We really do.
We really do.
You don't find places
you can
like
pick
Union
it apart
County.
all you want, but all in all, at the end of the day, we have a pretty good community.
Oh yeah, I mean, damn, there's people corrupt everywhere.
There is.
Yeah.
You better go start inside your own roof before you start picking apart a damn county.
Yeah.
I mean,
you want to make sure that closet door of your own is locked and secure.
And
before you
that's
start.
and that was something that we kind of led up to earlier. Melo and I are a biracial couple. this is not his first biracial relationship, and this is not my first biracial relationship. And I did not realize, and I mean, maybe it's that white privilege that people talk about, and I'm not scared to talk about
I'm
taboo
gonna tell you,
things.
I wish if somebody's got some white privilege they can pass my way, let me know because I don't know
Well,
what the hell they're talking about.
true. Well, and I mean, I want to make
I
sure that
mean,
everybody understands and knows that, you know, we don't have a hard time talking about subjects that are taboo
No,
because we have a mutual understanding of opinions are just that. It's individually tailored to each person.
yeah,
And at the end of the day, we can agree to disagree and move the hell
yeah.
on.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, Tea Time with Amanda's podcast
gonna be the bomb.
is gonna be good with just that right there. You know, just you can do a whole series on your interracial relationships and
Because
just
there's
what
no
you just
content
spoke.
out there.
There
Trust me,
is.
Right, and
Yeah,
people
yeah, no, I mean,
people that know me remember the church right next door to Trinity a long
yes,
time
yep,
ago.
yep.
I'm not going to name no pastors' names, but he's like a dad to me. There is a preacher that's in the area that I grew up across the street from me when I was a little bitty girl. Um, I look up to him, and I've been people's like, why you talk the way you talk? Because I grew up like I don't see color. I hate everybody equally. If I don't,
That's right. That's
it's the damn
That's
truth.
the truth.
If I don't like you, I just damn don't like
If
you.
I don't like it, I don't like it.
It ain't got
That's,
nothing to do with the color of your
girl,
skin,
that's
the
good.
sexuality. I
That's
don't
right.
care. If I don't like you, I don't like you.
That's right.
I don't.
No,
I
you're
don't.
good,
The
man.
color is not. And Melo's like, well, honey, it's been like that. And I did not realize until him and I were out and about in the inner city of Chicago, and then even being here, it's normal. But I started asking him. I'm like, he'll mention it to me, and I'm like, well, don't get it twisted. If they made you feel uncomfortable, I can go back and address that
Right.
shit.
Yeah.
Because one thing people ain't going to do is bring that disrespect to my face. Because,
Yeah.
like I said in the beginning, make sure your disrespect when you do it can be quite more. Make sure your
You got the
apology is
receipts.
louder. Yeah, make sure you got your receipts, but make sure your
Yeah.
apology is as loud as your
That's
disrespect
right.
was. Be
So,
careful.
so with that being said, and we'll close this out because I know you guys got a lot of stuff to do, and I'd love to have both of y'all back.
we will. We got stuff going.
And I want
Clothing lines going on.
Yeah, I was just going to plug that too,
yeah, do
and
that.
part of me being here and speaking out and saying some things that's not normally said by a person of who whatever is because I speak the harsh truth. I will tell you the harsh truth. I will tell you to get your act right out and hold on to that motherfucker, or you can fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the harsh truth is. The harsh truth is a clothing brand that him and I are working on, and
That's
you
a
can
good
go
name.
ahead
I
and
like that.
that's his side of it, the tech side. That's
I
him.
got you. I got you.
But
Harsh
that's
truth.
Yeah. So the harsh truth. We have some books coming out.
Oh yeah, I got a
It's
cookbook.
cooking book, and
Okay.
she's also gonna have like a memoir
Yeah.
rolling out after that. I would plug the title, but I'll wait.
We
We
wait on
ain't
that.
there yet.
Hold on to that. Yeah. Hold on.
Hold on to your forks, because the best is yet to
Of course,
come.
That's right.
we have the Tea Time with Amanda podcast coming out. We also have Down the Rabbit Hole coming out, which will
Dude, that'd be good.
which will be my podcast.
Yeah.
And,
Yes, yes.
Well, we'll do it together, of course, but we just got a lot of things coming out, and everything that we are doing, we want to add value to the listeners, the people who are interested in the content.
Yeah.
Nothing is just frivolous. Nothing just for content's sake.
Yeah.
Everything is like trying to feed, give you something. You know what I mean?
I like that.
So.
Right. And I think that it would be safe to close it out with something like this if you kind of wanted to plug in there. Melo and I moving forward with our business ventures, both personally with each other, and as a business. We just hope to always be able to add to other people's lives and not take away. We're not in the business of taking away from people. We're in the business of building each other up.
Same way with you, Rick. We come here, man. If I can help you in
Exactly.
And that's the same with me, you guys.
Building generational wealth and breaking generational curses and building something that our great great greats can be proud of, because someday all you see here is going to be theirs.
That's it.
And it's not all these things that's going to just fade away. It's all of this. It's the impression that you leave behind.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Years from now, our kids, great grandkids, whatever, can pull up whatever it's gonna be on in that time and be like, oh, check out my great grandfather or my great grandmother, and
those are
Yeah.
options we didn't
this
have
is
in
yeah,
our generation. You see
yeah,
what I'm saying? So like
I think he just
the
called us
trajectory
old.
of the future looks a lot different for our grandchildren
yeah.
than they look for us. So you have to start thinking forward,
That's awesome.
thinking like that, and preparing for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like just
absolutely.
imagine funerals in the future.
Oh
my
man,
God.
it's gonna be
It's like you're there. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
right,
It's
right.
literally like you're there. Like,
Yeah,
I
oh, I
mean,
just saw Grandpa at the,
standing up in the corner.
yeah,
that's the type of future we're getting
yeah.
into.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, with all that being said, I definitely want to get you guys back. Right, we want to get you back. I don't know if there's any updates you can give on future filming with TLC with Thousand Pound Sisters. I don't want to get you in trouble by no means, and you know your limits. Hopefully there is. Hopefully, because I think it's all an entertainment business, but I think it's also changed some lives, and I say that because of your personal stories. I think once people hear your personal stories, it touches them a different way than the actual show touches people, right? So hopefully we get to see more of you guys. I know I'm gonna fight to get to see more of you guys myself. If whether it's on my podcast or I'm sitting on your podcast, we all have got stories to tell.
Right.
So I thank you guys so much for your time, both of you, and I appreciate you guys coming
Thank you
down.
so much for
So
having
a
me.
friend of mine who does the Lids for Kids nonprofit, what he does is these kids who have some kind of illness, sicknesses, or whatever, they sponsor them, make them a firefighter for a day in Panama City. Sign all the firefighters autograph a helmet. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Yeah, Panama City. And what he says when he closes out all of his little videos is, "Y'all be good to each other."